Thanks, Madam Speaker. It's a pleasure to rise this afternoon to speak to Standing Order 42, and I am in agreement with the Environment Minister, as well as the member from Calgary Mountain View and many of our colleagues here, that climate change is real and that these might be the most substantial debates of a generation and perhaps for the future of humanity. The opposition has proven time and time again that they refuse to accept the science of climate change. And again, we're hearing that here in this House today. The Conservatives plan to go backwards on climate change, which would remove billions of dollars of investment in renewables, eliminate energy efficiency programs, and save money for families, businesses, and industry. You know, Madam Speaker, each year, April 22nd, is Earth Day. This is now a global event each year, and there are an estimated more than 1 billion people in 192 countries that now take part in the largest civic-focused day of action in the world. In this place, this legislature, we hear day after day questions coming from the United Conservative Party, opposition, questioning the value of Alberta's climate leadership plan, raising doubts that the value of the carbon levy and whether or not one province could have any effect on the overall global emissions at all. You know, we've heard here today some quotes from former Prime Minister Stephen Harper and Preston Manning, but it reminds me of another notable Conservative politician that received some credit years ago. It was at an Earth Week gala dinner that was held back on April 18th, 2006. And it was at this gala dinner where former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney was the distinguished greenest Prime Minister in Canadian history. It all happened at the Chateau Laurier in Ottawa before a sold-out crowd of environmentalists and corporate leaders. But let's reflect for a moment on the significant accomplishments that would have led to this distinguished award. Myself, along with many others in this chamber, were born and raised in Ontario, and many of us have memories of the acid rain debates and are aware of the damage concentrations of sulfur dioxide emissions did to our natural ecosystems, such as lakes and rivers, much of which was caused by coal-fired plants in the American Midwest, and nickel smelting in Sudbury. I think the member moving this motion might recall some of those debates too. Recognizing that something needed to be done about this environmental issue, government took action, and in 1991, Prime Minister Brian Mulroney and American President George Bush signed the Acid Rain Accord. This would lead to cut of more than 50% in sulfur dioxide emissions in eastern Canada. And during that time, there were also significant measures introduced that reduced ozone depletion and helped clean up the St. Lawrence Seaway. And I'd like to offer that these changes have paid massive returns decades later. It shows that government programs and initiatives can have a positive effect on the environment. And I wonder, Madam Speaker, what happened to those progressive conservatives that used to look decades ahead, attend climate change conferences, and represent Canada proudly? Every once in a while, you hear an anxious point of order from the UCP trying to perhaps mention or distance themselves from their climate change doubting colleagues, but that gives us hope that a few of them might actually believe that that human activities might have an impact on a changing global climate. I hope that all my legislature colleagues on the other side of the House can learn the historical lessons from the former federal PC governments and understand that we actually do have an impact on our environment and that our government policy can have an impact on emissions and reduce the effects of climate change. In the words of Brian Mulroney, he said that climate change is the most serious environmental challenge and time is running out. Let's acknowledge the urgency of global warming and then let's work together, bringing the world to a consensus on this topic. Madam Speaker, this is not the time to pull out of the Paris Agreement on climate change. We know that it's possible to take leading action on climate change and grow the economy at the same time because we've done it year over year. Alberta stands at a crossroads. We can ignore the signs of climate change and be dragged along, and we can take and make our own choices. For those of us that lived in Calgary last summer, we know the air quality was poor due to forest fires elsewhere in BC. The poor air quality lasted weeks and weeks on end. at least 6 weeks as I recall. And it was the same story the summer before. This year was different though. I noticed events were being canceled, and outdoor community recreation events specifically. And it had a clear effect on people's lives. Madam Speaker, our government has a solution, and it's about investing in Calgary's Green Line, LRT, that will create more than 12,000 jobs. Yeah. Our energy efficiency programs mean that Albertans are saving $70 for every ton of carbon emissions reduced. Albertans are saving $10 for every $1 they invest in the residential energy efficiency products. And our energy efficiency programs have saved $414 million in energy costs. That's enough energy for 850,000 homes for 1 year. Businesses in Alberta have saved $36 million in energy costs, and that's the same as taking 78,000 cars off the road. We're helping lower and middle-income families offset their costs through carbon levy rebates, with approximately 2/3 of households receiving a full rebate. Madam Speaker, these are real solutions designed to tackle climate change. We can make a difference. We need to start now, and this is why I cannot support this motion. Thank you.